In my personal opinion, I believe Obito works better as a villain and not a good guy. When you go back to the Orange Mask Obito days, very different character. Interesting, creepy, suspicious. It had everything for his character back in the day. The reason why everyone hated Obito after the mask came off is because for obvious reasons. He literally became a different character. Obviously, he was playing a character of Madara, but it was more than that. The vibe felt different, he was more honest, he was more open, and the reason why everyone loved Orange Mask Obito is because he was very suspicious. He didn't talk a whole lot. When he was in the Akatsuki, it was only about Infinite Tsukiyomi. It was worrying about the whereabouts of Sasuke, about his eyes. Zetsu and Obito would talk about what's going to happen to Sasuke's future, etc. We never really knew what Obito really was. But when we learn the truth about everything, you can argue knowing more information about a character can actually ruin a character. We got to know Obito personally, and people thought Obito's obsession with Rin was way too overboard, and it was really annoying. Now, the Rin flashbacks in the anime versus how Kishimoto handled it in the manga are completely different experiences. One is dragging, and one is only half dragging. But the obsession of Rin over and over again really made people doubt his character, found him annoying, found him uninteresting. But over the years, people started to go back to Obito and they end up loving him more. They respect him, they understand him more, they actually feel bad for him more versus 10 years ago. Now then, in my personal opinion, I just feel like Obito wearing the mask is just a better written character. Yes, his character had more depth and more meaning because the mask came off, and Obito and Kakashi had very honest conversations in the Kami dimension, and we learned a lot more of Obito's mindset of how everything went with his experience in life because that mask came off. So, in a way, even if we preferred the mask on Obito, his character would have had less meaning if we didn't know too much more about him. But that's the argument I'm trying to get here, is that knowing too much about a character can ruin a character. It just depends who you are as a person. Do you want to know more about everything of a character, or do you want to know half? That's the reason why everyone loves Orochimaru, because we didn't know too much about him. And now, if we did learn everything about him, which it would be more of a fucked up backstory, but it also helped us to understand why he became so sick. But then people don't find it needed. So if we did learn too much about Orochimaru, and it was way too much information to take in, like Obito, then chances are people could have hated Orochimaru at some point. It really depends who you are as a person and what kind of character arc you want to have. Now, for my personal taste, I just believe Obito is better written when the mask is on him. He's more quiet, he's more laid back, he's more chilled, he's more pretty much anything. That's because his face is not showing. So in a way, that would also protect his reactions. You could have seen his reaction with his eyes being surprised, but how Obito was actually reacting to certain situations, we will never know because he's wearing that mask to cover everything. Emotions from the inside and outside. But that was the point of what made him interesting. We're not supposed to know everything about this character. So when the mask came off, you don't have that anymore. Everything is given to you. Everything is there for you. You know more about him. You see his reactions. You don't have that cold presence about him anymore. So I do believe it's a fair criticism to say that Obito kind of changed entirely because that mask came off, because he was no longer the Madara character, because he was Obito Uchiha, which obviously that means two different beings, two different personalities, and two different things of how they see life. One was playing a character of someone else versus the real Obito Uchiha with his real ambitions and real ideologies. But in my personal opinion, I just prefer Orange Mask Obito or White Mask Obito. I made a whole video about White Mask Obito. Please watch that video, by the way. But let me know how you feel, because I feel like Obito works so much better as a villain. Way more interesting, way more scary, having the Tell Beast next to him in power. But when the mask came off, you don't feel as afraid, you don't feel as frightened. So that's just really a personal opinion of mine. I prefer the mask Obito more than anything, but I understand why people started to respect and love Obito without the mask. But let me know how you personally feel. Without a doubt, it's who you are as a person and what you connect with.